you're in contract as a seller and you think everything's smooth sailing, but it can be a little potentially dangerous. We'll be talking about easy fixes for potential deal killers. Anyway, we'll also talk about Apple homes for sale near Apple, Mountain View home of the week, and REO of the week. First things first, easy fixes for potential deal killers. Now, you're selling your house and you think everything's going to go smooth sailing, except for the fact that you pushed back on the fact that you don't want to do fixes to your house. You should price it appropriately and understand that all that being disclosed up front is a good thing. Now, appraisals can come in, and if you think your house is worth $2.8 million and it's really only worth 2.2, and you happen to get somebody that just got into a ravage, we have ways to make sure that that buyer can handle that. So if it comes in where the value is at 2.5 versus the sales price at 2.8, you have a $200,000 deficit or delta. So you have to make sure that the buyer understands that if the appraisal comes in lower in this market, this is what we expect. Now, I always say you have three options. You can accept it and go lower. You can say, buyer, go pound sand. You're going to take it or leave it, or you can meet halfway in the middle. Figure out something where you negotiate, right? It's the agent's duty to be there during the appraisal and give them comps that justify why you went that high in that price range. You have comps or CMA comparables, and you want to make sure that these are the comps that we use to justify it. Here you go. Now, can the appraiser say pound sand? Absolutely. You're not there to negotiate with the appraisal. You can't even influence the appraiser. You're just there to say, these are the numbers. Here are the differences in this home compared to the subject property. This is how we came up with this price. And that's basically what an appraisal is. It's a comparison against other houses around the area based on the market conditions, the condition of the house, and what's going on all over. So bad appraisals happen. They've happened since day one, since the 20 years that I've been in real estate, since before that, and it's not going to change anything. Don't think that it will. Bad appraisal can muck up a deal. It's working with the right appraiser, and if it's a bad appraiser or they're just not willing to work with you, you do have options. You can go to another appraiser and ask them to do it. Now, you as a buyer or a seller or an agent can't say, hey, I know somebody. The lender has to do it, and it has to come through a third-party random pick type situation because of the Frank Dodd laws that were put in place back in 2008, 2010. But that's an option as well. So credit mistakes. I always tell people, buyers, I know you can go shopping for furniture, because what we tell you is leave the furniture that you have in your old home. Don't necessarily think about bringing them there to your new home, because they won't necessarily fit in your living room. Your couches won't fit. But don't go out and buy a boat or a car or anything on credit. Leave your credit as it is as a buyer. Do not change anything. I see it all the time. I think it's funny, but people do. Oh, I'll just go buy a car because I could spend $2 million on a house. Why not spend another $60,000, $70,000 on a car? Okay, home inspections. I always recommend home property, which entails appliances, walls, windows, electrical, plumbing. They take a look at everything, including the pool. And then have a roofer come out and take a roof inspection and do a termite or a pest inspection, because you want to deliver that to the buyer so they know what they're getting into before they get into contract. That's how we do it in this area. In different areas, it's different. It's on the buyer to buy the inspections and know what's going on, which allows you to negotiate. We want to make it as smooth and easy for the seller. So we've become accustomed to just doing the inspections ahead of time and getting them done so you know what you're buying. Real estate has to be a fully transparent transaction. That's the way we do it here. Does everybody do it? No. Some people just buy a house as is. As a matter of fact, if you do it, we'll talk about bank owned in a minute, the REO of the week, but it's your right and duty as a buyer to know what you're buying. You have to be able to go and inspect it yourself. Your agent has to go and inspect it. They're superficial inspections. And a home inspector will go in and look at all the nitty gritty, timely things that need to make sure you know what you're buying. There could be a plug that doesn't work or a dishwasher that doesn't turn on or what have you. So make sure you do your home inspections ahead of time and know what you're buying. Dang nabbit. If you don't have the inspections done ahead of time, the buyer can go and get inspections done. When I bought this house, it had $21,000 worth of termite damage in it. I knew it going into it. But if they don't have it, you can buy a house for, say, $1 million and come back with a pest inspection and say, hey, Mr. Seller, here's $20,000 worth of termite damage. I'd like you to have it fixed. Now, again, the seller has three choices: yes, no, or let's meet halfway in the middle. That's how it works. It's negotiate. Unpaying taxes. Here's the thing. If you haven't paid your taxes as a buyer in a long time, make sure you get that up and done, because the lender and the title company will go back and report this transaction to the IRS to make sure you're not owing any extra taxes. That can screw things up, especially on signing day. You're there signing loan docs as a buyer, and all of a sudden there's a check and a little red flag comes up, says, stop what you're doing right now. You owe the IRS or the state X amount of money. So that has to come out of somewhere, and that's going to blow things up. That could totally screw things up. A good lender will give you a fully underwritten loan approval, which includes understanding where you are with taxes, if there's anything going on there. And they want to make sure that you pay your taxes on time. So they'll ask for your W-2s and your last 2 years tax returns and all that stuff. That's why we don't deal with unqualified buyers in the sales process. Bank delays. I just closed one yesterday. Supposed to close on Monday. Today's Wednesday. It closed on Tuesday because there was a little issue going on. It was a good thing though for this buyer because they got a better rate. So we allowed the buyer to have an extra day because they knew what was going on. They lowered their rate a little bit, but that caused a delay. Sometimes, like the big three banks, when they get busy, they treat everything as a process, and they'll get to it when they feel like it. And banks don't give a crap about your contractual obligations. They just don't. Working with a broker, like the people that I work with, Scott, Hector, and Luis, they all understand the contractual obligations. They're not subject to it. However, they know that in order for me to continue to give them business, they want to perform under those contractual obligations. There's always hiccups. This is a human-run business. It's not automated. But at the same time, working with brokers versus banks, you're going to have less delays or less issues. So there you go. And tense negotiations. Yeah, there's back and forth. We're dealing with one right now where we're representing a buyer, and the seller's agent came back and said, oh, all of a sudden we have two other offers in hand. And I'm calling BS. We're coming in right at list price, plus we want them to pay off the solar loan. And I'm saying they're probably just full of crap. They sent back a highest and best with multiple seller counteroffer. And up until a couple hours ago, they didn't have any other offers. So now they have three offers in hand. I don't believe that one bit. But you have to tell your buyer, I have to tell my buyer, look, this is what happens, right? The seller wants more money. They're being greedy. They're saying that they have two other offers in hand. I don't believe it. However, it's your risk. They could have two other offers in hand, and they might go with somebody else. What do you want to do? My suggestion is just hold out and wait, right? But because my philosophy is I'd rather go find another house that makes sense for you, that you don't have to do this, right? So anyway, it's just part of the life of real estate and negotiation. Tense negotiation is part of the life. And negotiation doesn't happen. It's consistently working with every little detail, from timelines to disclosures to title and escrow to all these different things. There's a lot of different moving parts, which is why you hire an agent. You can absolutely do it yourself, but if you don't understand it, chances are you're going to get duped on one of those little situations. That's why you hire a buyer's agent. With that whole NAR settlement thing coming along, a lot of buyers are going to come in and do it themselves and be unrepresented. And unfortunately, they're going to get screwed over because we as a profession understand the process. We do this every day, and that's where it all comes in. Okay, homes for sale in Apple. I saw this one right here. I want you to take a look at. Now let's look at the 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,100 square feet, built in 1957. That looks like an addition to me, but that's, what do I know? Let's take a look at this guy. That's definitely an addition. It's nice inside, just the outside, man. I'm telling you, curb appeal, it's surprising what a house looks like on the inside, and they don't drop a dime on the outside. See, I like these Anderson windows, but that whole thing can be restructured into an accordion window thing. House is nicely staged up, redone, remodeled. Almost feels like it was a flip. Let's take a look at the backyard. All right, so maybe it's not a flip because you see how the grass is there. Maybe they bought it like that. So looks nice and inviting, a little casita, a little office, a little she shed. There you go. Okay, Mountain View home of the week. Let's go close to walking distance to Castro Street, which is this guy right here, Yosemite, Spanish Revival, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 1,400 square feet, barely $2.3 million. It's beyond me because my house, which is 2,300 square feet, isn't worth that, anything near that. So yeah, I'm a little jealous. See, that's a dining room. They made it into an office. Good for them. Oh, original everything. Photographers, if you're taking pictures of a room, do 3 or 4. And if you're an agent, put 2 or 3 of the best pictures of a dining room or a bathroom, right? You don't need to have 15 different angles. And nobody cares about the closet. The seller opted not to stage. Totally fair. I have no problem with that. However, the expectation was that they wanted a premium price for it. When you have a house that's half empty, unstaged, doesn't lend itself to making the pictures look pretty, which makes it less inviting. So if you have a house, this looks a lot more inviting, gives you depth, gives you reason for a purpose for that room. If you don't stage your house, it just looks like an empty room. It's a huge cost, $2,000 to $3,000 for a standard home. If it's a luxury home or those $30 million ones, you're looking at $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to stage a house. But here's the thing, it makes for better pictures. And when you sell something, you want to tell a story. And if you're telling a story about a home, you want to have it give each room purpose. So anyway, that's why you want to stage a house. For no other reason other than to give marketing a purpose or each room a purpose, tell a story about the house that helps in the marketing. It's all about positioning. So if you don't do that, you're not going to get the expected results that you want because you're cheaping out on staging or repairs or what have you, like inspections. Go ahead and not do that. Doesn't really matter. But my caveat is that you have to lower your expectations on what the final outcome is going to be. This one's been on market for a long time. It's been on market for 200 days. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 2,500 square foot house. There's got to be something wrong with it. Other than maybe, possibly, it's on a semi-busy street. It's not on a thoroughfare. It's a filter street, but at the same time, yeah, it needs some work. I'm sure they've held 100 different lowball offers. But guys, this is Half Moon Bay. I know they want 1.5, but really it's worth 1.2. I would lowball at 900, but that's how it is. If you're interested in looking at that or other bank owns, let me know. Happy to tour you through these, show you them. But understand the bank will not do inspections. The bank will not do any repairs. The bank will not give you credit. So it's important that when you go into bank-owned properties, you know what you're looking for and what you're buying ahead of time. Can you do inspections ahead of time? Sure, but that's going to cost you $1,000 before you get in a contract. There's no guarantee you're going to get in a contract. So having a competent agent that knows what they're looking for, that has construction experience and knows what to look for, can at least point out some of the things, not everything, but most of the things that are wrong with the property. Obviously, this is right there in your face. You know that you're going to have to fix that. My thoughts are somebody bought this by the hair of their chinny chin and they started doing repairs on it, and the inspector came by and slapped a big old red tag on it and said, stop work right now. And cost overrun, and then they lost it. And it happens. But since it's been on market 200 days, it might be a good opportunity for somebody that's willing